On February 24th, 2022, Russia began an assault on Ukraine that sent shockwaves around the world. 1 year later, the war continues. As spring nears, there's growing fear of what could come next. Amanda Sansoni is in Washington with a look at where this conflict is headed.
1 year ago, Russia launched a full-scale invasion into Ukraine with the goal of toppling Kyiv and seizing the country.
We assumed that it would quickly take over the country and that the Ukrainian military would quickly fall apart.
Yet Ukraine continues to defy expectations.
Ukraine is alive and kicking.
The losses immeasurable, thousands killed, millions forced from their homes, while some cities have been virtually wiped off the map. Russian troops also decimated, Western officials estimating the number killed or wounded to be nearly 200,000 in what has now become a war of attrition.
This has been a failure for Putin all around.
But Russian President Vladimir Putin is not retreating. Instead, the Kremlin is conscripting more troops and telegraphing a massive spring offensive, while blaming the West for escalating the conflict.
He can't really lose a war in Ukraine that would really threaten his power at home.
The United States and NATO allies are surging weapons to the front lines to bolster Ukraine's defenses. In a visit to Kyiv, President Joe Biden warning of what a Russian victory would mean for the world.
This is so much larger than just Ukraine. It's about freedom and democracy in Europe. It's about freedom and democracy writ large.
And assuring Ukraine, despite the long, difficult road ahead, Biden says the U.S. will remain steadfast in its support until the end.
Freedom is priceless. It's worth fighting for as long as it takes.
In Washington, I'm Amanda Sansoni.
China has called for a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. It's part of a 12-point proposal to end the conflict. The plan issued this morning by the Foreign Ministry also urges the end of Western sanctions imposed on Russia, measures to ensure nuclear facilities, the establishment of humanitarian corridors for the evacuation of civilians. This comes after China abstained when the UN General Assembly approved a resolution that calls for Russia to end hostilities in Ukraine.